If you're easily scared, don't watch this video. Someone named Ember sent me the story, and she says that she just wants answers because she doesn't know what she saw this specific night. She says that she used to live in a small town in Texas. Her mom still lives there, her brother still lives there, and when she lived there, there was a very small man-made graveyard that she used to investigate all the time. She says she wasn't a pro or anything, she just did it for fun. She said that most of the nights while she was investigating, it was very quiet. Every now and then she would see a glimpse of something, but it was never anything crazy. She says that this graveyard is small but open enough that where you walk in, you can see the whole graveyard. She says she's walking through the trees, going towards the back, and she sees a woman standing off to the corner. She said that she was surprised because when she walked in, she kind of scanned the whole area and she didn't see anybody there. She says that when she saw this woman, immediately she felt heavy. Her heart sunk, and she said that the air immediately changed. Now, she says that this woman looked pretty normal. She was wearing a blue hoodie, some blue jeans, and in this specific small town, there is quite a few people that go to investigate. They go to do ghost huntings, and normally when you see somebody, you introduce yourself. You're like, hey, sorry, I didn't know that you were here. I don't want to interrupt you. Just common courtesy. So she introduces herself and she's like, hey, sorry, I didn't know anyone else was here. I'm sorry if I distracted you. Do you live close by? And she knew she didn't because she lives in such a small town that even though you don't know everyone, you know who lives there and who doesn't. She says that what really scared her immediately was the way that this person was standing, like her demeanor. She wasn't standing like a normal person would as far as relaxed. She seemed very tense, as if she was going to lunge at her. And she says that that is when this woman takes one step towards her, and instinctively Ember takes a step back. Like, she said they were staring at each other for a few seconds, and then this woman takes another step towards her. Now, Ember says that the way that the light was shining, of course you couldn't see her face. It was dark, but you can kind of see her silhouette. But she says that the only way that she can describe this is the feeling of prey, that she was being preyed on. So she finally shines her flashlight at this woman's face, or where her face should have been, and there's nothing. It's just smooth skin. She can see the indentations where her eyes, her nose, her mouth should be, but there's nothing there. Hell no. She immediately starts running, hauling ass to her house. She is booking it out of there. And she can hear this woman like running, like chasing after her. She doesn't live too far from this graveyard. She reaches her porch, she turns around, and this woman is gone. What's crazy is that you can hear her footsteps chasing her the whole way. All that was there was the road, the trees, neighbor's house, no sign of this scary looking person. She decided to go back the next morning while there was daylight. Everything was normal, nothing out of the ordinary. She never saw this woman again. She says that she never went back after that day. She ended up moving away about a few months after that. And ever since that incident, she never did any more investigations. She never did any more ghost hunting because she was afraid of what she was going to see. She says that she knows that most people are not going to believe her, but this is the truth. And she kind of wants answers. So if anyone has ever seen anything similar to this, if you can please leave a comment because she will be reading them. And honestly, she is brave because I would have probably died immediately. But anyways, thank you so much to Ember for sending me this spooky story. If you guys have any stories that you'd like for me to read, please send them via DM or email, and I'd love to read them. And I will see you guys in the next spooky story. Bye!
Oh boy, do I have a story time for y'all. So I was, walking around in Target, and this old man, this really nice looking old man, walks up to me, and he compliments me on my eyebrows. Of course, I was like, okay, right, a compliment. This is a nice guy. Like, maybe he's, like, gay or something, right? Like, he's a cool guy. But then stuff started to get weird. This man starts complimenting me on my freaking ears. Like, who compliments someone on their ears? Out of all things, these little wings. Of course, I was genuinely kind of confused and genuinely kind of scared because I have never had a compliment about my ears. See, this man was just really creepy, really nice, or was just being a goon. Because last time I recalled, you're not supposed to comment people on their ears. Like, I don't get it. So man, if you're watching this video, whoever you are, man, I need to know why you commented in my ears. I'm curious.
I know we're coming around spooky season now, and I want to tell my scary stories about my basement. Well, my ex-basement. Good luck to the new owners, because that basement is haunted. So when we were little, my sister and I used to share a room. My sister is like, I'm gonna have my own room. I'm gonna go downstairs. I was like, cool, get out of my room. Like, I want my own room. You want your room. So we're little at this time. We're younger. I don't know, I think middle school. Now our basement it was very large. And what divided the basement was this wall, right? It didn't go all the way from end to end, but there was enough space so you can get around to the other side. So there was this big blank area. And then on the other side of that wall was the furnace. There was a little storage unit, like a little room almost. And then there was a laundry area. That little laundry area was so creepy to me. The dogs never wanted to go down there. So she's sleeping in that little storage area on the other side of the wall. And our church has a big garage sale. So the garage sale happens. They ask my mom, hey, can we put all this stuff in black bags? It's toys, clothes, everything that you think in your garage sale, that's what it was. And so it's all in the larger area of the basement. And my sister comes up to me one night and she goes all the way upstairs, and I'm like, she goes, hey, I forgot to turn off the basement light. Can you come with me to turn it off? And my sister used to get sleep paralysis. So whenever she got sleep paralysis, she would sleep on the couch in the living room. And she's like, I really don't want to go there by myself. Will you come with me? And I was like, yeah, girl, I'll go with you. Like, don't worry. So we're walking downstairs. We go to the side of her room, and there's, you know, those pulley lights in the basements? All basements have these pulley lights. So as soon as I turn the light off, we hear the theme song of Ring Around the Rosie. We just hear, nee, 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 nee. One of the little toys that was in one of those bags turns on, and we book it. Like, we book it so fast. I just know I didn't want to look back. I ran. But yeah, that's my scary story. Something was in that basement. And I have so many stories. And let me know if you guys want to hear some more of them. But
oh my God, you guys, you gotta listen to this story. It's crazy. This man that tells this story said that it was so vivid and distinct that he still can't stop thinking about it years later. He was a vendor in a fish market, and he remembers waking up very early and doing the whole morning routine, getting dressed, going to get tea, all the things. He said he headed out to the docks and he purchased some fish, and then he loaded them up into his cart and he went to get some ice. He even had to haggle for some ice, ended up buying less than fresh fish, and then made his way to his stall at the market. He set up and sold fish all day. He said he talked to friends and smoked nasty cigarettes and ate lunch and haggled with customers. He just lived through the day, and at the end of the day, he cleaned up, counted his money, paid his stall rent, and then headed home. Said he cooked some of the fish he hadn't sold, along with some rice and veggies that he'd traded for. He then drank more tea, relaxed for a while, and drew a hot bath. Said he soaked for a while, smoked a couple more cigarettes, and then he went to bed. He said the next morning he woke up and he was very refreshed. He was eager to get down to the docks and buy fresh catch. Except he was at his house, laying next to his wife, truck parked outside, and it was a Saturday, no work. His wife and he were getting ready to go skiing in Oregon, and the car was already packed. So yesterday had to be a dream, right? I mean, he's single and a smoker, which he's not in this life. He also says he was speaking fluent Chinese, the effortless kind of fluency that only comes from a lifetime of speaking it. And if it wasn't obvious, he had been Chinese. He said, but I'm a big, hairy white dude, and I barely know a little bit of Spanish. Certainly not Chinese. He's also never worked in a fish market. He says it makes him wonder who he was or what that was. What do you guys think? Really vivid dream? Or a cross in realities? Memory of a past life? It could be so many things. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you haven't done so already, follow for more creepy story time.
Let's talk about something absolutely terrifying. If you're new here, hi. I usually talk about spooky, scary stuff, and I actually have an email where anyone who finds this page can send me their ghost story. And let me tell you, these are actually freaking scary to the point where I don't read them during the nighttime and I do not film during the night. And the story I'm about to tell you is exactly why I don't do either of those things anymore. So let's get into it. This story comes from someone who would like to remain anonymous, and for obvious reasons, I'm going to respect that. And the person who sent me this email starts off this whole thing by saying that something has been haunting her family for years. And I absolutely hate saying that phrase, because if you've ever been haunted by something, you know exactly how terrifying and terrible this experience is. So the person who sent me this email says that one day she was hanging out in her room, her sister was downstairs in the living room, when all of a sudden, out of the corner of her eye, she sees this black figure walk into the room and go into the closet. Immediately no. But the person who sent me this email says that she thought it was her little sister trying to scare her. So she gets up, goes to the closet, opens it, and lo and behold, there is no one there. So she starts to freak out, runs downstairs, and the moment she gets downstairs to where her sister is, she finds her sister hiding between the wall and the couch, bawling her eyes out. And when she asks her sister, like, what is going on? Why are you crying? She says that she saw this black figure that tried to scare her. So number 2, immediate no. Again, immediate no. And this is when the person who sent me this email exchanges her story with her sister and says, I saw the same thing. And what I find very interesting is that these 2 incidences happen at the very same time, just at different parts in the house. I don't know much about that kind of haunting, but I just know being haunted is not something that a lot of people seek out. But if you've been here a long time, then you know I've been in a very similar situation where I saw a figure, and my little sister also saw the same figure at the same time, but in the same part of the house. So we knew that it was real. But anyways, that's gonna do it for me. Stay tuned for my ghost stories.
Alright, so I'm about to go to bed, but I wanted to ask, do you want to hear a scary story? And I'd be very curious to know if anyone has a similar story. So when I was about 4 years old, my mom and my aunt dropped me and my cousin off at this couple's house. And they were supposed to babysit us so that they could go out. And they were going to come pick us up the next morning. So we go to their house, and they have these 2 daughters. And me and my cousin we're taken to their room because it's nighttime and they're going to go to sleep. And the one girl sleeps on one side of the room and the other one sleeps in the other. And they have these little twin beds. And one of the girls is like, oh, you want to come and lay down with me? And then the other girl's like asking my cousin, you want to come lay with me? So we both go and lay down in these girls' beds. I wake up on the living room floor. I'm no longer in this little girl's bed. My cousin's nowhere to be found. And I'm laying on the floor on like a mat with a pillow. And this is where it gets really weird. There's like hundreds, if not thousands, of these kind of purple, pink, fuzzy looking things. And they're all over the floor, like crawling around. They're crawling up the walls. I look up and like it's all over the walls, the painting that this woman has, I guess, over her fireplace. They're everywhere. Thousands of these like fluffy, purplish, dark colored looking, I don't know, creatures, you know? They were almost like spiders, but not. And I couldn't physically feel them because they were crawling all around me, on me, but I could see them. So I start screaming, and the woman runs out, and I'm like, all these things are spiders. And she said, no, they're not spiders. Don't worry. Like, she acknowledges that they're there, but she said they're not spiders. And so she's like, come on, I'll take you to the girls' room. And I'm like, where's my cousin? And she's like, oh, she's laying in my bed. Don't worry about it, which was weird too. And so we go, and she drops me off with the daughters again. And one of the daughters, the same one that I had laid down with, was like, do you want to come lay down with me? And I go lay down with her, and I'm laying, like her bed's up against the wall, and I'm got my back turned to her, and I'm looking down on the ground watching these things, because they're in their room too, but there's less of them, and they're crawling around on the floor. And I asked the little girl, like, what are those? And she says, they won't hurt you. But she doesn't tell me what they are, and granted, I'm like a little girl. I'm 4, I think I'm around 4. And I'm watching these things, like, and one of them dives and hits the wall. It's like goes flying over and then hits the wall, and then it's this little tiny like box shows up where it hits. Guys, I feel so crazy even saying this, but it looks like the box looks like a black and white miniature, like this big.
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
It went to both.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, a streamer decided to lock his girlfriend outside in -5-degree weather because he was dared to do so? Tell me more. Yeah, you heard that right. This streamer from Russia decided to lock his girlfriend outside in -5-degree weather because people on his live stream were saying, yeah, I dare you to lock her out. It would be so funny. And unfortunately, she was only in just her underwear, and he decided to go ahead and get her out there and lock her out there. Now, this may be harmless if it was just for like a couple of seconds or something, but when it's -5-degree weather and you don't have even any socks on even, and now stuck out there for about an hour and you're just kicking and screaming on the door and you're not able to get inside until the moment where you don't hear that person anymore, and now he has to go out and bring her inside as she's unconscious. He thinks she's just being dramatic, so he puts her on the couch and leaves her there for about an hour until she's not being responsive at all at that point, so he decides he needs to go ahead and call an ambulance. At which point, when the paramedics got there, they did pronounce her dead on the scene. Okay.
Let me tell you about the time I had a stalker, or at least I think I did. Hell, I still might, I don't know. 3 or 4 years ago, I was living in an apartment complex and it was just me and my 2 kids. In the back of my apartment, there were 2 big glass doors. You could see right through them into my apartment, so I would keep these big curtains hung over them at all times. Not only for like peeping toms, but I live in the Appalachian Mountains, and if you live here, it's a rule that you keep your curtains closed after dark. If you know, you know. If not, check out my other videos. One day I was outside doing some gardening and one of my neighbors came up to me and was like, hey. And they were like, did you know that every night around 2 or 3 a.m. there's this man that comes out of the woods and he comes up to your back door and looks in your apartment through your windows? They said they just sat on their back porch and watched him silently every night, but this night they decided to approach him and they were like, hey, what are you doing? And the guy who they said had a hoodie up over his head got scared and ran off into the woods. I was like, what do you mean there's a guy that comes out of the woods every night at 2 to 3 a.m. and looks into my back doors and you never thought to tell me? Anyways, a week goes by or maybe 2 and I'm sitting on the couch in my apartment. It was like 2 or 3 a.m. I was getting ready to go to bed. I had already turned off the TV and turned off all the lights. I just hadn't gone upstairs yet because I was sitting there scrolling on my phone. As I'm sitting there, I hear my back screen door open quietly and it made a very distinct screeching sound and I knew that that's what it was. I immediately look over in that direction and I watch the doorknob turn. Luckily my door was locked because I cannot even imagine what would have happened if it hadn't been. I heard the screen door quietly close back. I was so scared the rest of the night. I don't know why I didn't call the police, but I did not at this time. I could not sleep. I was trying to play it off to me just being crazy or whatever, but at this point I was getting really concerned. So another week or so go by and it's like 10:30 at night and my boyfriend is supposed to be on his way over to my apartment. Somebody started knocking on the door. I assumed it was him. I didn't even look through the peephole. I just opened the door. There was a man standing about halfway down my walkway. He has on sneakers, blue jeans, and like a Kinetic t-shirt, and he's holding a clipboard. Mind you, it's like 10:30 at night, so it's pitch black dark outside. I was really thrown off, so I was just like, can I help you? He goes, yeah, there's been a report. There's a problem going on with your internet, and he insisted that he needed to come inside and check it out. First of all, I don't have Kinetic internet. That was the first red flag. Also, it was like 10:30 or 11 at night and dead ass dark outside. Who does a work order at 10:30 at night? I told him no thank you and closed the door, and I called the police and made a report, and I don't live there anymore.
When you're being haunted in your house, like terrifyingly, and then you find out later on after doing some research that you are validated because something terrible happened in that house, those are the stories that scare me the most. By the way, I do have to give a huge trigger warning for this one, and it does have to do with a child, so please keep that in mind. So in 2007, Gabby moved from San Francisco to Miami. She had just gotten a divorce and she was moving back in with her mother to basically get back on her feet again. So she was waiting to get a new job and she was saving up money. So her mom had a 3-story house and she had a finished basement in it, and she had like this little studio area in her basement, and that is where Gabby was going to be staying. Had a queen bed, a little space for a couch, and it was just like this cozy little studio that she had going on down there. She loved it. She doesn't remember exactly when it started, but she started to have these weird dreams, and little by little these dreams would turn into reality. Pause. Does anyone else's dog sleep like this? little weirdo. Like, bro, close your legs. Okay, let's get on with the story. So one night after one of these weird dreams, she wakes up in the middle of the night and she looks at the end of her bed and there's a man standing there and he's wearing a pleated shirt and blue jeans and he's just staring at her like, get out of my house. Well, she wasn't really scared of seeing ghosts because apparently she had been seeing them her entire life. So what she did is she went over to her nightstand and she turned on the light and this person was just gone. This is where it starts to get more sinister. The next night she falls asleep and she wakes up in the middle of the night and she feels like something is watching her and she suddenly gets goosebumps all over her entire body. So she sits up and she's about to like put her feet down on the floor when she looks down on the floor and there's just a puddle of blood on the floor and she's like, what the is that? So she goes to turn on her light with her lamp and her lamp is one of those lamps where like it has that little stick in it where you push it in this way and it goes out the other side to turn it on, and then to turn it off you push it out the other way and the stick comes out the other side. Basically the lamp has to be manipulated by a person to turn it on and off. So she goes to turn it on to look at this puddle of blood that's on her floor and she turns it on and it just goes and it turns off. At this point, she calmly lays back down in her bed. She puts the covers over her head because she is like, I am not messing with this one. So a couple nights later, she wakes up in the middle of the night to someone talking in her living area. And she had a leather couch in her living area. And when you sit on a leather couch, it makes noises, right? So she hears somebody talking and they're like whispering. And then she suddenly hears them sit down on the couch. But then she hears someone making another noise on the other couch. And they're both leather. It sounds like something small is jumping up and down on her couch. Not a man, something or someone small just jumping up and down. So she's just hearing She said that this one, for some reason, really scared her. She got really scared. So she started saying the Lord's Prayer. She said that as soon as she started saying this prayer, the energy in that room shifted. These entities got so angry. She could literally feel it. But she doesn't care at this point because she's like, these entities are not taking over my studio. When suddenly she hears these two entities, two pairs of feet, run, like book it towards the back door. So they go out the door literally and close it. And then all of the dogs in the neighborhood just start going wild. And it's the middle of the night, mind you. So all of these dogs in the neighborhood are just barking, growling, and going wild. In that moment, she was like, okay, something is really going on here and I need to research what it is. But the one occurrence where she was like, okay, that's it, I have to move, was when she had this dream. So she falls asleep and it's nighttime in her dream. And she wakes up in her dream on her bed. And she sits up in her bed, but she hears the sound of a little boy crying. Very softly though, like almost like a whisper cry. So she gets up out of bed and to go see what it is. And she realizes that this crying is coming from the closet. So she slowly moves towards the closet and the crying is just getting louder and louder. So she slowly opens the closet door and there's a little boy sitting in the closet. He looks like grayish. He has his like head in his knees and he's looking down at first and then he looks up at her and his face is just filled with sorrow. He was wearing a brown shirt and shorts. She was petrified. She literally said verbatim she was scared to her bones. And suddenly, just like that, she wakes up and she has goosebumps all over her body. Well, the next day after she wakes up, her sister calls her. Her sister lives about 10 minutes away from her and she's like, oh my God, Gabby, I had the weirdest dream last night. And Gabby's like, what was it? So she proceeds to tell her that she has this dream and she wakes up in her dream and she's in Gabby's house and she sits up in bed and she has goosebumps all over her body when suddenly she hears a little boy crying, but it's like a whisper cry. And you guys can guess where it goes from there. Every single detail was exactly the same as Gabby's dream. Gabby could not believe what she was hearing. She was in absolute shock, and this really scared her. Well, later on that day, that same night, her sister comes over with her computer, and they are absolutely determined to find out what happened in this house. After a little bit of research, they find out that 10 years prior, there was a schmug-related robbery in that house. 2 armed men went into the house and unalived the father, and then went into the little boy's bedroom, found him in the closet, and unalived him. Seriously, so sad. I will never understand that. Like, for what? For what did the little boy do? How could you possibly have it in your heart to a child? I cannot even, it takes a special type of evil. It really does. There is a special place in hell for people like that. What did you guys think about this story? I think so many things align up here. First of all, the puddle of that she saw on the floor could have definitely been residual. She could have seen what had happened there or part of what had happened there. The man standing at the end of her bed could definitely have been the father. And obviously the little boy in the closet, like we know who that was. And it just breaks my heart to think of like that was how he was probably You guys know what I was going to say. I'm not going to go into detail about it. By the way, for those of you who want to know, this is the house. So that was the basement, and this is the house. So drop all your thoughts, opinions, and suggestions in the comments, but as always, please be respectful. These kinds of stories put me in such a bad mood sometimes. Sometimes I get these and they're like hard to read. And I'm not laughing. I don't think it's funny. That's my way of kind of like coping with not crying. Because I don't want to cry in every video that's sad. But I do think that they're important to tell because, you know, something did happen to that family. Something did happen to that little boy. And he was trying to communicate with this woman, I believe. And maybe he wanted his story to be known more. You know, you never know. But that's why I think they're important to tell. So I'm sorry. I hope that this didn't ruin anyone's day, but I did give a trigger warning at the beginning. So now I'm going to do my favorite part, which is the shout outs. XX Alea JXX. First of all, I just want to thank you for being a spooky baby. That is what I call you guys if you don't know. You are the best. You said that you've been binge watching my videos and that you love my storytelling style. And that means so much to me. Thank you so much and welcome, because you said that you are new here and I really appreciate you being here. And you are going to love it here. I have the most loving community and you seem like a very nice person. So I'm so glad that you are here. Thank you for being kind. Thank you for pushing out my videos with your comment. And I hope to see more of you. I love you, girl. JB.boutique8. You said that you were watching for all the way from Papua New Guinea. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I tried really hard. I love that. Thank you so much for being a spooky baby from all the way across the world. It will always be so weird to me in such a good way when people from all over the world watch my content. And you also said that I was your favorite spooky storyteller, and that also means so much to me. So thank you for giving me that gift, because it truly is a gift. You have no idea how much I appreciate that. I'm so humbled by that, and I really hope that you continue to watch, and I hope to see more of you, and I just hope you know that I appreciate you so much. I love you. And also, you guys, there is a spooky storyteller who is trying to gain more followers right now. He really wants to be a part of the spooky community, which of course he already is. Welcomed with open arms. But it would be great if you guys would go watch his content and support him. He is super cute. I've spoken to him through message and I commented underneath one of his videos. His name is Jason. I will drop his tag below. Go watch his content. I think it's really important for people with a bigger following to support other creators who have a smaller following, because we were all there once. And so I will tag him below. Go check him out. And my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories on here every single night that you guys either submit to me or recommend to me. So if you're into that, hit that follow button. And I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? Keep sending me your scary stories and recommendations. Have a safe night. And what's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
So one of my friends here on TikTok knows that I had like one more spooky story that happened, and I refrained from posting it because I was afraid that the relative would get angry, but I shall just not name her. So, okay. I went to a relative's and I was spending the night because it was a bit away from where I live to visit them. So, she and I were watching movies, and around 12:30, I got tired and I said, well, I'm gonna go to bed. So I made my way to the guest room and I fell asleep, and a few hours later I feel someone sit on the bed next to me, and I'm thinking, what is she doing? She's messing with me. Because she's silly like I am, so I'm just thinking she's messing with me. And then I feel a body lay down next to me and against my back, because my back was to the door facing the wall. And I turn my head and go to say, you silly bitch, what are you doing? Except there was no one there. I jumped out of that damn bed so quick, ran out into the living room where we had been watching television, and she had gone to bed upstairs. So I'm like, oh my God, my heart was just racing. And I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And I was like, girl, just go to bed. So I go to bed, and next morning I see her husband out in the backyard, and I run to the door because I had gotten up to go to the restroom, and I see out the back door that he's out there. So I run out, I open the door, and I was like, oh my gosh, guess what? And he's like, what? And I was like, you got a ghost. He's like, no, I don't. This is a house they recently bought and moved into. It's 105 years old. And I was like, oh, yes, you do. And he's like, Nikki, no, we don't. And I'm like, yes, you do. So I told him what happened. And he says, well, I don't feel anything. And I've had like several instances of spirits around me. So I wasn't like surprised when it happened because it wasn't the first instance. But in any event, later in the morning, they're boys and they're all adult men. And the two of them and myself were standing, all kind of congregating in the kitchen. And I decided to tell the boys what happened. Or young men rather. And so I tell the story. And all of a sudden one of them, their son says, I told you. He goes, y'all didn't believe me. And I was like, told them what? And he goes, I told them I keep seeing this woman passing across the doorways, like going across. I've seen her several times and they don't believe me because I told you. So yeah, their house has got a ghost. But I think she's a nice one. So also, about 5 nights ago, I'm on the phone video chatting with my cousin. And we're chatting along. Now, she doesn't know my orb story that I posted. She didn't know about that. But anyways, as we're chatting, she goes, what was that just went past your head? I was like, what? She goes, something just went past your head. And I'm just thinking it's like a glitch in the video. So we continue talking. And then she all of a sudden says it again. What is that? And I was like, what? And she goes, can't you see it? I said, girl, I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at myself in the camera. So she goes, something is like floating around your head. But then it goes away. I was like, I don't know. We just keep talking. I'm still thinking it's the phone glitching or something. So then all of a sudden, a little bit later, she starts yelling, there it is again, there it is again. And she goes,